Hello everyone, my name is Matt and welcome back to Cobb Hill Farms. Well, we're working in the shop today, been dodging raindrops all day. I think we're pretty well at the end of them for the day, but it's still too wet to get anything done outside. So we're going to be in the shop working on this 460 today. So while we were spreading manure with this tractor a month or so ago, I noticed the clutch started to feel a little funny and started to actually slip towards the end. Got to the point where I couldn't even really pull the manure spreader up a hill. So we need to bonsai a clutch job on this tractor because we need it for hay season. So I figured while I was working on this tractor, I'd take a little bit of time, seeing as we've had quite a few new subscribers and viewers lately, and talk about our farm, who we are, how we got started, and where we look to go from where we're at now. We're a small, direct-to-consumer, pasture-based livestock farm here in Western New York. We're halfway between Rochester and Syracuse, and we're about a half an hour south of the shores of Lake Ontario. We also produce hay on the farm. We do roughly around 25 acres of hay. So our products are sold via a few different methods. Most of it's word of mouth. Just one customer tells another, and next thing you know, we got phone calls. Or starting last year, we started attending our local farmers market with our pasture chicken and eggs because we were able to sell our chicken by cut versus quarter, half, and whole like we sell our beef and pork. I lived here till I was 24 years old. Then I moved away, got married, had a son, Logan, who you've seen in many videos. Farming wasn't really in my family. Yeah, my dad raised a few pigs when I was little, sold them to the guys he worked with. So it's not something that I was directly involved with day to day, but growing up out in the country, farming was all around me. So I saw it mostly on a daily basis. You know, as a young fellow living out in the country, every time I'd hear a tractor or combine or whatever piece of farm equipment was coming down the road, I always would run out to see who and what was coming down the road. You know, they ranked right up there with fire trucks at that age. I guess before I get too far, I better disconnect the battery. That's the first thing I learned in Mechanics 101 years and years ago. Disconnect the battery. So that brings me to my adult life. I always had a love for mechanics as well. Never really thought about farming as a career or a living, but I knew that I wanted to turn wrenches for a living. So when I graduated high school, I went on to a local community college and took a college course specifically designed for General Motors products, and 2 years of that and an apprenticeship with a Chevy garage. Once I graduated, it didn't take me long to figure out that flat rate mechanics wasn't for me for a couple of reasons. First off is at 21, 22 years old, who's good with money, and working flat rate, you really have to be on the good side of the service writer to get all the gravy jobs, and that wasn't me. So I decided to move on, and I had an offer to go work for a national trucking company as a mechanic on second shift. And I worked that job for about 3 years. That's where I gained a lot of my diesel experience knowledge, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that certainly a lot more than working on cars, but the second shift part of it kind of got to me after a while and had to make another change. So that's when I left and took a job with our local Bobcat New Holland dealer. They were hiring a mechanic. So I worked for them for 8 wonderful years. I enjoyed every minute I worked for them. They were a great company to work for, and there is where things really changed for me. So working for the Bobcat dealer is where I would eventually end up meeting an individual that became a very good friend of mine. He collected antique tractors and also raised some beef cattle on the side, so that's where I sort of rejuvenated my interest in the antique tractors and farming, was going over and helping him on his farm and also work on antique tractors. As time went on, I ended up collecting a couple of my own Farmalls, going to antique tractor shows, tractor pulls, and that was fun for a while. Then after a bit, especially the antique tractor pulling kind of got old, and I always wanted to do something more with my antique tractors. So I ended up acquiring a 10-acre hay lot, and it was not a hay lot at the time. I planted it to a pasture grass, and while I was waiting for it to grow, in the meantime, I went out and bought a full line of hay equipment that would complement my antique tractors. And the following year, I started making hay. And that's really how the farm started, was by just wanting to use my antique tractors for more what they were designed for. So while I was making a living turning wrenches and hobbying the antique tractor farming experience, I had the opportunity a couple years into making hay to purchase the home I grew up in. And I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity, and very grateful to my mom and dad for letting me have that opportunity to carry on the legacy of our family being here at this place. And then for me being able to grow my love for farming and being able to do it here. Getting to these power steering lines is not exactly the easiest thing. So once we were living here full time, we decided to expand from doing hay and move into doing cattle, and we got a few egg layers, and I built a chicken coop, but I had a lot of land clearing to do because this was not at all set up like a farm. Yeah, we had the old 2-story farm barn, but that was it. So it seemed like every year since 2019, when we ended up moving back home, seems like we always expanded into something. First it was the cattle and egg layers, and then the following year we got into raising pastured pigs. And then last year, 2023, expanded into the broiler market. All while the whole time we were working full-time jobs. Since then I left the Bobcat dealer and was working for my local county municipality, where that work there culminated everything that I had ever worked on before, kind of under one roof. It was a good job. You know, it was a typical government job. It had its days, but in the end, I enjoyed really what I was doing for the 10 years I was there. But after 22 years of turning wrenches, I started listening more to my body and thinking about the next 20 years, if I was to stay there and keep turning wrenches, what kind of quality of life would I have, knowing the type of work I was doing, knowing guys that had done the type of work I was doing, and seeing where they were and their physical state at that stage in life. After talking with Stacy about, you know, the future, we decided that it would probably be better off for me to leave that full-time job and focus more efforts on the farm and figure out how we can expand the farm and make this a viable living experience for us. And so far that's happened. You know, it's nice being able to have more time to work on the farm. I do have a small part-time job off the farm, so that helps, you know, with the insurance and things like that. So I still do go to work, but I come home in the middle of the day and have a few hours to do what I need to do here on the farm before I go back. And it's really the perfect scenario to be able to put more effort into the farm and grow the farm to the next level where we want to be. All right, so enough blabbing on about us and the farm and where we are and whatever. I haven't talked about this old girl in a while, the old Farmall H. I've been working on it here and there when I have some free minutes to spare, when I'm not doing farm work or whatever. August 3rd is going to be fast approaching. I know that. So there's a part of me that feels glad I got it back to this stage. The motor's to the machine shop. We got the estimate on that. So they're going to send the crank out and have it turned and getting an engine kit for it and redoing the head. It's going to be a brand new motor when we're done. So I'll hopefully have some videos of putting the motor together and carrying on with this, but I didn't really feel like there was much of a need to, show what I've got done on it so far. Otherwise, it's just been cleaning more parts and, waiting on the engine and tinkering on it here or there when I have a free minute. So I spent the last couple days trying to figure out how I was going to support the engine side of the tractor to roll it apart. My cherry picker is not tall enough to get over the top of the engine, nor do I believe it was strong enough. So there's not much of anything to support underneath because you got a tin oil pan. The front axle mount is too far forward. So I was trying to figure out a way of doing it. Well, it just so happened my mother and father-in-law happened to stop by one evening, and Stacy brought him in here to show him what I was up to, and he said he had a set of splitting stands that they used one time to split an 856. So they brought them over for me, and lo and behold, I was able to make them work without any modifications. And they got turnbuckles on the lower end so you can adjust up and down, side to side, what have you. So I bolted them up and they worked great. This thing rolled right apart. Well, now we can start loosening up pressure plate bolts and see what our clutch disc looks like. Hopefully it's wore out. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, she's wore. Well, checking the flywheel out, I don't see any cracks or anything that go from one end to the other that would indicate a problem. Yeah, there's a couple of small ones, but other than that, it looks pretty good. It's pretty wavy. I'll probably take it off, take it to the machine shop and have them true it up. Pilot bearing actually is not too bad, but the clutch kit will come with a new one. Throwout bearing, kind of same deal, not too bad, but I'll put a new one on. This is kind of a different design. I'm not sure if this is original clutch or not. It's only got 4 buttons on it. It's only got 4 buttons on it instead of having an actual pad lining at all 4 spots on either side. So really not much grabbing material there, surface area wise. So they're kind of a different design from what I've seen before. See how heavy this thing is. Not too bad. Well, I guess I did a bunch of worrying on this job for really nothing. I needed to get this tractor done. Once it started slipping when I was spreading manure, I'm thinking great. My main hay tractor is going to be down and I'm trying to figure out what to do. So once I did a little research and figured out it wasn't going to be that bad of a job, that kind of made me feel a little bit better. So I'm going to go in the house, get a clutch ordered for it, call the machine shop, see about getting the flywheel turned. They usually do that while you wait, so that's kind of a good thing. One trip down and back to do that. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I hope for the new viewers out there, I was able to give you a little bit of insight on just who we are and where we've been with the farm and where we're looking to go. And if you haven't subscribed, we ask you to subscribe. We hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.